Speaking of Iowa, we start today's program up on Capitol Hill. We're pleased to be joined by Congressman Steve King, Republican of Iowa, who just got done questioning some of the candidates at a forum in South Carolina earlier in the week. And let's start with the man that's got all the attention right now, Rick Perry. He wasn't able to attend your event on Monday, but he will be on the debate stage tonight. Do you buy the concept? Are you sold on the concept of Rick Perry as the front runner in this race, Congressman?
The polls all say that, and I saw the anticipation for his announcement for his candidacy building in Iowa and around the country. So I have to accept that's where the polls are right now. And there's also the wave that he has caught, the anticipation wave. Now we'll see how he surfs on that wave tonight, or with the first debate that he has been in as a presidential candidate. And I'm told that this would be the 5th debate that he's done in his political career. So he's not particularly seasoned in the debate arena. Well, let's see how he does.
Well, Congressman, just staying on Iowa for 1 minute, the folks who did particularly well in the straw poll, Michelle Bachmann, of course, didn't get to ride that wave for very long. There are some saying maybe the straw poll thing is kind of a bust. How do you defend it?
It's actually real easy to defend it, but I should tell you first that Rick Perry timed his announcement to step on the straw poll exactly in the middle of it. He could have done it an hour earlier, an hour later, and it would have had a little less impact. The day before, the day after would have been better. And then he came to Iowa the next day. So that was all his effort. If he'd been engaged in the straw poll early, he might have won that, and that would have been part of his wave. But what we see is when someone, first we must have the straw poll in order to set the stage for the caucuses that Iowa will be leading first in the nation caucuses. That brings the attention, and it brought about the debate. We had a great presidential debate on Thursday night before the straw poll, and the week was focused on Iowa. And what you saw as a result of that, I think, was that the establishment candidates only gathered 19% of the vote, and the constitutional conservatives gathered 81% of the vote. That's the message, I think, out of the Iowa straw poll. Let's see how they compete in Iowa, New Hampshire, and South Carolina and beyond.
What's gone on with Michelle Bachmann? We've seen campaign turmoil over the weekend. She has gone. Her support is cut in half in our latest poll, 16-8 now. She's now behind Ron Paul. Do you think that Michelle Bachmann? Do you see her as fading in this campaign?
Well, the polls show that at this point, but also, it's been discussed, I think, really openly that Rudy Giuliani was leading 4 years ago, and he was followed pretty closely by Fred Thompson. So things change a lot, and I think the news media they grabbed this thing from the beginning and they paired up Romney and Perry and said these are the candidates, and people listened to the news. So let's see how these votes are earned. I think that she's strong. She had a good performance in South Carolina on Monday night, as did the rest of the candidates too, and we'll see how that bounces. But my advice would be to her is just dive right into the mosh pit and go out there and campaign and be yourself. Anytime that the handlers affect the personality that's reflected through the media, you just need to go react with real people. I've seen her do that on a number of occasions, and she and Marcus both enjoy retail politics. There's a lot of it to go on between now and the nomination.
So does that mean you think that she has been avoiding campaigning directly? There's been a lot of talk, a lot written about the fact that she maybe sits in the bus a little too long, doesn't get out there and actually engage.
Well, I know that she wants to spend all of her time out with real people. I do know that, and I think now that you'll see a change in the management of her campaign, you're going to see a lot more of that. Now, it's a tight schedule for somebody who has been riding the wave that Michelle Bachmann has been riding. That means when she's in the bus, she's on doing radio, she's doing debate preparation. It's not slacker time. This is real focus time, but it's very important to be with real people most of the time.
Congressman, let's talk again about Rick Perry. He's gotten so much attention, as we mentioned. A lot has come out about his record. We find out about his work for Al Gore's presidential campaign in 1988, the kind words he had for Hillary Care in 1993. We saw a new headline about the growth in state government under his tenure as Texas. Has he established his conservative bona fides as far as you're concerned?
Well, those pieces brought in, and there are others. I want to be very knowledgeable about those and the continuum of the transformation of Rick Perry from apparently a Democrat onto a Republican. I know that Karl Rove had something to do with that. I want to get to know Rick Perry, and Americans want to get to know Rick Perry. Give him a good chance at this. Let's see how he does in the debate. But I think he's the candidate now that has taken a leap up to the top of the polls, and as people get to know him, that momentum will diminish some. And can the substance hold his lead in the polls? That's the question. Will the substance of Rick Perry hold his lead in the polls? And that's why we have such a good test. You know, I want to just add to this that I've watched this now for a good number of cycles from a great perspective and a privilege as an American, and I am convinced that presidents are not just born and shaped in their private lives or their public lives, but the test of the nomination, the campaign trail, that gauntlet shapes the president too. Whoever emerges from this will be a better president because of the process they went through, the nomination process and the election process in the general election. So whether it's Rick Perry, Mitt Romney, Michelle Bachmann, others along that line, they'll be a better president when they finally arrive in the Oval Office.
All right, and just quickly turning to where you're standing right now, the president is coming out tomorrow giving a speech about his economic plan. First of all, do you plan on being there to listen to it, being in the hall?
Yes, I did have a conversation with Jim DeMint about this just on Monday, and we chewed it around a little bit. I understand his position. It's not going to be anything new, and there's not a reason to sit there and listen to it from that perspective, but it is a moment in history, a pivotal time, and it's also something that while being in the chamber, I'll be watching the eyes of everyone else. I'll be wanting to watch who leads the cheers, who applauds, who doesn't, how does the Congress react towards the president, and I'll also be watching John Boehner look at Nancy Pelosi out of the corner of his eye as she leads the cheers from the floor.
All right, that's a good enough reason to be there just for the body language. Congressman Steve King, you were terrific today. Thanks for being here on Top Line. Always a pleasure to have you on.
Thanks very much.